under control through the 180 and into the big drop. He crawls through. They're nose to nose, flying through the air like a trapeze artist. And it's going to be the tail end of the local hero, Dennis, that's going to capture the win. There it is in freeze frame. Welcome to DRC Racing and Beat the Barrier Street Race 2022. Today, folks, we're going to wrap it up in a nice, neat bow. I'm Big Sam, your humble racing commentator, and that's right. All 8 qualifiers that advance to the quarterfinals will race today and fill up the semifinal race. We will also see the semifinal race and the finals. The difference in the rules this time will be that it is going to be a best of 3 races. Wins only, second place, and big air bonuses don't count for anything today. And leading off this extravaganza will be the first 2 cars that came out of qualifying. Starting with Big Al from Big Al's Custom Diecast out of the USA in the Lancia Delta Integrale. And his opponent will be Matt Utalan. The Utalans have a history at the DRC. He'll be in the Volvo 850. Matt is driving out of Canada for the Diamond Racers, and the race is underway, and Big Al's already out to a nice lead. He crashes through the hay like it's nothing, and he spins around the 180, heading to the big drop, and he comes to a stop, and there's Matt Utalan, sidestepping and not even touching Big Al. Perfect driving around the outside. As we look at the replay, Big Al just gets hung up and catches too much of the track, gets spun around, and here comes Utalan, perfectly driving to the outside, strikes the big drop at the right angle, and sails comfortably across the roadblock crew to pick up the first race and the 1 point. Needing only 1 more to advance, the Volvo has the advantage. Let's go to lap number 2, and it is Big Al out to a lead again. Stumbles a little bit. Utalan's right on his rear end. They go through the hay together. Bale 2 is a little more bumpier. Utalan looks for a spot, but he comes to a stop, and it's all Big Al, and he's up and over to even up the match. We're even at 1. Let's look at the replay as the hay gets dribbled downstream, and Utalan looks to dive inside, but gets held up on the move, and Big Al just pulls away and gets across the goal line without much trouble. We're even at 1. It's lap 3. The winner advances. Big Al out to a lead once again, becoming a theme. He's through the hay. Bale zone 2, no problem. Dribbles a few stragglers and is into the big drop and spins across. And there comes Utalan for a close second place. But if you look at the replay, Big Al catches a little guardrail, sends him into a side spin, wipes out the roadblock crew, picks up point number 2, winning 2 straight races, and will advance to the semifinals. We have semifinalist number 1. Big Al is now the first to move to the right on the bracket. In our next race, we're going to see a crowd favorite in a blue service truck, and he'll be going against a fancy 4-wheel drive luxury vehicle from Toyota. And that means we're going to see Grumpy Cloud from Grumpy Cloud Racing out of the USA in the bright blue cargo truck. And his opponent will be Seuss Boy. I had to look up the pronunciation for this, so I hope I've got it right. Seuss Boy is out of Bangladesh and striving for the Seuss Boys collection. The 2 are at the top of the track, and here we go for lap number 1. The Toyota is out in front. Grumpy Cloud is trailing close behind as we go through the hay. Seuss Boy is out in front, bouncing through the hay and into the hills and down to the big drop. And he's up and over, and he pounds into the roadblock crew and crosses for the all-important race win and point number 1. Replay shows he gets through and just shoves the roadblock crew aside, and the momentum carries him over the finish line. What happened to Grumpy Cloud? There he is, on the hills, dealing with the hay, and top heavy turns over on its side. Can Grumpy Cloud get back in it? It could be over right here if it's Seuss Boy who has the lead through the hay. Grumpy Cloud is right behind, gives him a love tap on the ass. And it's Seuss Boy into the hills. It could be over right here. Oh no! He power slides and dumps into the ravine, and Grumpy Cloud takes total advantage in reverse, backing the box truck up across the ravine, avoiding the roadblock crew for the W. You see Seuss Boy looked like he blew a tire and pulled the handbrake and tried to save the truck, but it was too much momentum that carried him into the ravine. He's been there before. He knows his way out. We'll get the wreckers down there to help him out to the top of the mountain. And there is Grumpy Cloud with the win. No worse for the wear. On the side, but we'll tip him up on his wheels. And there he is, ready to go for lap number 3. And this time, Grumpy Cloud works his way into the lead and goes through the hay first. Continuing to lead through the second bale of hay, he bounces off the 180 and gets turned around backwards. In the background, Seuss Boy has come to a stop. Grumpy keeps his momentum and crashes through the roadblock crew for the win. He's going to win 2 straight and advance to the semifinals. Let's look at the replay. Seuss Boy has trouble in the hay and gets sideways on the back stretch, but it's Grumpy Cloud that keeps the mojo and backs over the finish line, taking out a few roadblock crew members as well. And there is Seuss Boy. Very nice looking truck. Love that diecast. Outstanding effort to get this far, but it's come to the end of the line for the Bangladeshi Seuss Boy. 2 semifinalists down, 2 to go. And this upcoming match is something I personally have been waiting for. Pitting 2 outstanding looking diecast models with more technology than a diecast car could ask for. And a rivalry that goes back on the DRC with Cyrano Buckminster driving the colorful Ford Fiesta rally vehicle from Spaz and Spurious Racing out of the USA. And his opponent is Big Sam Jr., my own boy, riding in the Hyundai i20 from Big Sam Racing. And Big Sam and Cyrano have history at the DRC. And there goes Junior diving off the track. And how did he end up on the road? Cyrano had a lot of work there to get through. And he comes to a stall, but it's Big Sam that pushes him along. And in no way would a Big Sam qualified for any victory. But he does help Cyrano make it to the finish line. And there's Cyrano comfortably getting across the ravine and smashing 2 roadblock crew out of the way. But look at this start. I think Cyrano did a little love tap there and sent my boy off the side of the mountain. But how did Junior get onto the track? And there's Cyrano through the hay, smashing Junior off to the side, and comes to a stop. And it was the drift of Big Sam Jr., who was totally out of the race, that sent Cyrano forward for the very first win of the race. He's up 1-0. Junior needs this or it's all over. And Cyrano's in front, but Junior's right behind. Suddenly, Junior turns over. And Cyrano also seems to have come to a stop. Junior's tournament was over right here as he gets caught up on the hay and catches a little bit of the infield and turtles over on his roof. But Cyrano also catches a little too much of the track and comes to a stop. Maybe it was that bale of hay in front of Cyrano's car that halted his momentum. Well, a DNF for both Junior's race was saved. He's out into a big lead as we begin lap 3. Junior needs this race as he smashes through the hay and gets into the 180 with lots of momentum, dribbling bales of hay down the track. But then again, he catches the infield once again, and there is Cyrano to pick up the pieces, and not only that, but end it with a sweet barrel roll. And there's Junior, who's just been uncomfortable from the very first race. Could it be nerves? Could it be experience? We'll just have to have a chat later over a steak. But it is going to be Cyrano Buckminster advancing to the semifinals. We now have 3, 1 more spot to fill, and the final quarterfinal race is about to begin. It'll involve a BMW, a European sports rally car, and some good old USA muscle in a Chevy Impala. On the right is Sam Hall from Team DRC 3000 out of the USA. He'll be in the bright red BMW M3 GT. The big story is his opponent. Fresh off the Junior Circuit Championship and in his first professional race, and the local hero from Sri Lanka and DRC Racing is Sam Dennis. The Battle of the Sams is underway, and in the Mercedes-Benz, it is Sam Hall taking the lead over from Sam Dennis, who had it earlier before spinning around as they go through the bales of hay. And now the local hero is on his roof, and this is all Sam Hall's race, and he helicopters across the ravine after bouncing off the guardrails, but I believe the roadblock crew has stopped him from getting across the finish line. This might be the first goal line defense of the roadblock crew since Grumpy Cloud in the qualifications. Let's look at that replay once again as the local hero is over on his roof entering the 180 race, and no one's going to get a point. And there's the V formation by the roadblock team, and Sam is unable to get across the finish line. Oh, so close, but no points for anyone. Again, the third time today we've had the first race end in a DNF. We're off and running for race number 2. And it's the local hero, Dennis, jumping out to the lead, smashing through the bales of hay. And it's Sam Hall who comes to a stall at the top of the line. And it's Dennis all the way through, outsmarting the roadblock crew, sailing to the left. And I don't know how Sam Hall got loose from up top, but he does, and he gets across the finish line for second. But that doesn't mean anything as the local hero draws first blood and gets the point in lap number 2. The locals are absolutely going crazy as the drivers assess their vehicles and prepare to get back to the top of the mountain for the third lap of this race. Right now, the local kid can end it right here in lap number 3 as they're even out of the gate. The inside advantage goes to the local kid, and Dennis gets through the bales of hay, gets turned around backwards and through the second zone. He's under control through the 180 and into the big drop. He crawls through. They're nose to nose, flying through the air like a trapeze artist, and it's going to be the tail end of the local hero, Dennis, that's going to capture the win. There it is in freeze frame, and that's the second victory and is going to advance Sam Dennis and the Impala into the semifinals. Outstanding racing by Sam Hall. The BMW performed admirably, but failed at the wrong time, and we now have our final 4. The semifinals are set and will begin shortly.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me, turn it up.
Well, here we are, folks. The semifinals are about to begin. At the top of the bracket, it's going to be Big Al in that Lancia Delta Integrale from Big Al's Custom Diecast against Grumpy Cloud in the Matchbox Service Truck. 2 Riley veterans, and the race is underway. Here comes lap number 1, and Big Al does it again, gets out to a big lead, crashes through the hay. The second bell turns him over, and he's out of the race. And Grumpy Cloud has nowhere to go, and both come to a sudden stop at the beginning of the 180 near the performance stage at the DRC. Here's the replay once again. That hay bale at the very end was too much for Big Al to overcome. He gets stuck in the driveway and leaves no room for Grumpy Cloud to get by. Let's run it back. We're going to have to go back up to the top of the mountain and run lap 2. Again, another first race DNF for both drivers. Here we go for lap 2. Big Al out quickly out of the gate. He's good for that and has another big lead. Grumpy Cloud is close behind. It looks like he turned around backwards, and the lead actually grows. This time Big Al handles the hay, kicks the stragglers to the side and sails over the roadblock crew for victory number 1. And Grumpy Cloud, just to show that he can do it, actually sticks a very nice landing, bouncing off the Cliff International Raceway banner. Big Al ends up on his side, but no worse for wear. We'll put him back on all fours, and here we go for race 3. Big Al can end it right here with another big lead. Grumpy Cloud needs to close the gap, and it looks like he's turned around backwards once again. And Big Al is going around the 180, but struggling a little bit. He gets into the big drop, and handsprings across the roadblock crew, and Grumpy Cloud just pulls up short because he knew the race was over. Why take the damage in the ravine? And there's Big Al taking hay bales with him and sailing over the roadblock crew and handspringing multiple times as Grumpy Cloud comes to a screeching halt, and so does his days at this tournament. It's over for Grumpy. You're a crowd favorite. You drove admirably and you took that old service truck pretty far in this tournament, but it's over. And Big Al has advanced to the finals. We have one player. We need another. And now the race between Cyrano and his history at the DRC versus the local hero and his home track, trying to raise the crowd's awareness of Diecast Racing throughout the globe. It's Sam Dennis in his very first tournament as a professional, and it's Cyrano Buckminster in the Ford Fiesta and the muscle from USA in the Impala driven by Sam Dennis. And it's Dennis that squeaks out the early lead and gets through the hay bales first. Cyrano is somewhat close behind. He navigates the 180 as Sam Dennis heads into the big drop, bouncing off the road side to side, and gets across for the all-important victory. Cyrano pulls up easy, coasts across the ravine, lands on all fours, and just for funsies, turns over on his roof. There's the hero, smashing the roadblock crew, carrying that momentum off to the left side and into the gravel for victory number 1. And there's Cyrano coasting across the ravine, easy breezy, and let's go up to the top for lap 2 as you see the scoreboard and the 1-point advantage for the hometown hero. Stumbling out of the gate is Sam Dennis, but he has the inside track and gets the lead over Cyrano once again. He's through the hay, he's side to side and gets slowed down, but it's Cyrano that gives him the bump that he needed, and he gets into the 180 and he's racing over the hill, and he turtles over the roadblock crew in a fancy finish and closes out this race in 2. There is the slowdown through the hay, and there's room for Cyrano to get by, but he veers suddenly to the left, a little love tap to the local guy, and shoves him forward and instead stalls himself midway through the racetrack. And we have a final, folks. It's the local hometown hero, Sam Dennis, out of the DRC, sponsored by the DRC, and was born and raised in the area. It's the rookie, the first professional tournament participant in the finals against the crafty veteran that is Big Al in the Lancia Integrale. This is going to be some race. Big Al has been a leader out of the gate every single time in this tournament, it seems like, and he's going against the USA muscle of the Impala with the hometown rooting for the local favorite. This should be something. And there is lap 1. Can Big Al get out in front? And he does. He's leading the race with the Impala right on his rear end, crashing through the bales of hay, working through the 180 and into the hills. But he comes to a stop suddenly at the top of the big drop, and lo and behold, it's the local hero that shoves him forward, and the momentum is continued after the love tap. Look at it in replay again. Big Al is heading for victory, but he veers to the right, and the guardrails slow him up, and there's room to get by on the inside, and the rookie is in the right lane, but he veers to the right, taps Big Al on the rear. Big Al takes full advantage and thanks him on the way across the ravine, clearing the roadblock crew and sliding to a stop amongst the promotional banners at the end of the landing area. Big Al could end it right here as we begin lap number 2. The youngster needs to get it going, and he's held up in the backside, and there's Big Al screaming out to another big lead. But suddenly Al stumbles, catching some hay and the racetrack, and is in the performance stage area at the DRC. And Sam Dennis comes to a stop himself without interference, and Big Al out of the race. Here comes the local hero, Sam Dennis. He's way behind, but he's got plenty of time. Not much hay in the way, and he just rubs the outside of the promotional rail and just like runs out of gas. Oh, I see a bale of hay at his bumper. That might have stopped his forward momentum. And we have a double DNF. We're going to have to go to lap 3. Big Al still has the 1-win lead, and he's out to another big lead if he holds it together. This could be it. Sam Dennis is right behind him, and he's out of the race on the same stage, and it's all Big Al, and he's got it. He's across with a double, triple roll and onto his wheels in championship style. He's won Beat the Barriers Street Race 2022. There's the replay of the local hero just not having a great finals, barely completing any races, but it's Big Al, the crafty veteran. He's in the right car, at the right time, with the right experience, handling all the challenges along the way through 3 rounds of racing and a championship match, and he's deserved every accolade that he gets for winning the DRC Street Race Challenge and all the barriers that he overcame. Congratulations to Big Al, Custom Diecast, the Ford Fiesta team, and the DRC for bringing the event. And we're back live at the DRC looking at Big Al and his race crew and the Lancia Delta Integrale that won the entire tournament. An outstanding contest. Congratulations to the DRC for an excellent production. Congratulations to Sam Dennis as the runner-up in his very first professional race. Outstanding tournament, an outstanding opportunity to subscribe. We know by looking at the numbers that a lot of you enjoy watching the DRC, but haven't subscribed yet. Let's spread the good word. It'll help out the channel. Click the thumbs up and certainly make your comments. They're always enjoyed and welcome. Much appreciation to the car sponsorships, Variant Skunk Works, Cliff International Raceway, and of course RXGT Racing. And don't forget our key event sponsor, DiecastGifts.com, an outstanding resource for all your diecast needs. This has been Big Sam, your humble racing commentator. You've been watching the DRC, an exciting diecast racing experience. Join us for the next event coming up soon from the DRC.
Phil. Great tournament. Really appreciate all your help. I'm going to get the DRC on the line. Anything you want to say? No worries, I'll pass it along. D, what's happening? Great tournament, well done. Your crew's been fantastic. I've enjoyed every minute of it. Anytime you need me back, let me know. No worries. It's a pleasure. I enjoyed being here. I love working on the projects together. Outstanding work. You should get some great comments. The channel's moving in the right direction. Congratulations to Sam Dennis in making the finals. I'll worry about my own Sam and talk about what happened out there in the semifinals. But it was awesome. Thanks so much. Look forward to the next event. I understand we might be going indoors. Cheers. Enjoy.